Hi, my name's Ash and I'm lucky enough to be involved with Tate and Ivan and had the opportunity to go out to Japan recently. I'm involved in the hip hop scene. I helped to create the space in the lab, creating the different vibes there. Obviously it's a multi-use space, and I'm hoping to express that and expand that into art and theatre. We went to some graffiti shows, a graffiti shop out there. The art there is quite different. They seem to be supportive of a lot of arts, but they don't seem to like graffiti specifically. But then they do have some commission pieces throughout the city, so it's quite an interesting dichotomy to see. But again, I'm looking forward to bringing back what I've learned and using it here in Wales, and taking that into the theatre space and creating some backdrops for some of the theatres based off more of the anime stuff. So we watched quite a few animes in preparation for going out to Tokyo, just to understand the cultural relevance and the cultural differences, but then use that to bring the cultures together. So I'm a graffiti artist, and whilst in Japan we were lucky enough to do some calligraphy, and it was interesting to see the difference, to see that actually when you're doing graffiti it's quite sort of high intensity, high energy, a lot of adrenaline, especially with, painting trains and things like that. Whereas with the calligraphy we were sort of instructed to actually calm ourselves and do some deep breathing and relax a little bit whilst doing it, so it's quite interesting to see the difference there. Additionally, we went to a museum out there, and it was quite good to see the traditional art, but how that's actually quite similar to some of the graffiti styles, especially some of the samurai drawings I saw were very similar to some of the New York artists' representations of characters. So I'm interested to bring that back and expand that and use that within hip hop theatre, some of the backdrops for the theatre. So I've got a bit of a background in MMA, and I was lucky enough out there to see some sumo wrestling performances. We went to the home of judo, and I got to take part in some stage combat classes, so it was quite interesting to see the sort of more performance element of the combats, whereas in MMA it's obviously more of a competition. In sumo, in the performance that we saw, there was more of a crowd interaction, more of building the crowd up and getting them involved, which was quite interesting to see, and how you can take that towards the hip-hop theatre and getting the crowd involved and making sure that everyone's participating. This was similar to we went to the Yokohama Theatre to see a performance, and it was on another scale, to be honest. Even compared to world famous artists that come and perform in the UK, the stage there was huge. All the crowd and audience were interacting throughout the entire show. They had some sort of lights that they were all using and interacting and changing the colours depending on which character was on stage. So it was a much more interactive experience than you would get in the West, I would say, both involving, like I say, with the sumo and with the stage acting. So it'd be interesting to bring that back to Wales and be involved in as much as I can in the hip-hop theatre side of things. And whilst in Tokyo, I got to take part in some Japanese-led calligraphy classes, samurai classes, and some ninja experiences. And it was quite interesting to see the difference in teaching methods. I've taught a few graffiti workshops myself, and I intend to do some at the lab as well. What I learned from that was actually that as a culture they're quite structured, but in the classes they're a bit more free run, so you could sort of get a little bit sidetracked, but in a positive way, in a more interactive way. Whereas the way I would normally do it is ensure that these are the criteria we have to meet. We need to make sure we do this, 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 and this. I think moving forward, I may try and be slightly less structured and allow more of that creativity to come through for the people involved.